Have you ever caught yourself thinking that your entire life has turned into an endless loop of the exact same day? Forget the postcards. Norway isn't just a country. It's shock therapy for your soul. It is an ancient incantation, frozen in stone and ice, created to shake the dust of the everyday right out of you. Here the mountains rise like the backs of sleeping titans to prop up the heavens, and mirrored fjords slice through the earth so deeply they seem to open doors into another dimension. In this place, the mist carries weight, and the waterfalls roar louder than your own thoughts. You will feel like a tiny grain of sand, but it is precisely within this deafening silence that for the first time in years, you will truly hear yourself. Watch this video to the end. I am going to show you 20 portals into a world where nature has not yet surrendered to man. Geirangerfjord. Here silence takes on a physical form. An emerald mirror of water, watched over for centuries by giant cliffs and legendary waterfalls that spill from the heights like the tears of ancient volcanoes. This place does not belong to man. Eternity rules here, and time stands still, afraid to wake the sleeping giant. Watch as the clouds cling to the peaks, as if trying to hold on to this world. Pulpit Rock, Preikestolen. A stone pulpit suspended over the abyss. 600 meters of absolute nothingness beneath your feet, and a horizon that shatters into pieces right before your eyes. There are no railings or barriers here. Only you and your fear, which in a moment transforms into wild ecstasy. In this spot, you realize that freedom is not the absence of walls, but the courage to stand on the edge. Trolltunga, a sliver of stone frozen in an eternal leap over the void. To stand here, you must trade miles of trail and hours of grueling struggle. But Norway pays you back in full, soaring between the blue sky and the steel glint of the fjord, where every breath is worth a lifetime. Odda, Geirangerfjord, a town held in the mighty grip of cliffs, where the spirit of history meets the raw power of nature. Here, the clouds visit without knocking, and the Geirangerfjord breathes the cool mist of apple orchards and ancient glaciers. In Odda, you feel nature embrace you, strong, stern, and straight to the heart, reminding you how little a person truly needs to be happy. Tyssedal, an industrial echo lost in the heart of the wild north. Here, man challenged the elements, attempting to tame the fury of the water and turn it into pure energy. The monumental pipes and weathered walls seem like the ruins of a Titan civilization that once ruled these mountains. It is a monument to human will, surrounded by silence and rugged granite. Steinsdalsfossen Waterfall, a white veil draped over stones as black as coal. This waterfall doesn't shout of its power. It whispers the secrets of glaciers hidden high in the mist. The water shatters into a fine dust, creating an aura where ancient legends come to life. Just look into the flow. It is the continuous pulse of the earth itself, which has not stopped for a single second. Kjeragbolten, your greatest challenge and your ultimate step. A boulder wedged in a crevice 1,000 meters up, like a cork in the hourglass of eternity. There is no room for doubt or wasted words here. Only you, a narrow strip of granite, and a bottomless pit that both terrifies and beckons. Lofoten Islands, the teeth of an ice dragon. Rising straight from the churning ocean, Lofoten is a place where bright fishing huts look like drops of life against a backdrop of jagged snow-capped peaks. Here, the light plays hide-and-seek with the sea, painting the cliffs in impossible colors, and every sunset feels like the final chord of the creation of the universe. Oslo, a city that doesn't try to impress but makes you fall in love forever, unnoticed. The futuristic contours of the Opera House meet the cold calm of the bay, where the cries of seagulls are louder than the hum of cars. Oslo is the silence of the future, a place where cutting-edge technology and harsh northern nature have finally found a perfect balance and declared an eternal peace. Bergen's 7 mountains, 7 rains, and 1,000 stories. Bergen smells of sea salt, wet wood, and the expensive perfume of history. The famous Bryggen Wharf is a portal to the Middle Ages, where the creak of floorboards in old houses feels like an echo from the time of great explorers returning from unknown lands with holds full of secrets. Urnes Stave Church, the breath of the 12th century, frozen in dark wood. This church remembers the hands of Vikings and the whispers of the North's first Christians. Unique carvings, where mythical serpents intertwine with crosses, make the building feel alive. Sometimes the greatest magic isn't a specific point on the map, but the road itself leading nowhere. Endless ribbons of asphalt cutting through ancient granite and the accidental views that open up around the next bend. In Norway, a simple view from the window is a masterpiece worthy of a place in the world's finest art gallery. Trollstigen, the Troll's Path. 11 loops of pure adrenaline carved into a sheer cliff face. This is a path that makes the heart beat to the rhythm of a rock slide. You rise above the clouds, and the hairpin turns below look like the silver trail of a giant serpent. Trondheim, the city where northern monarchs have been crowned for centuries. The majestic Gothic spires of Nidaros Cathedral pierce the moody sky, while colorful wooden warehouses on stilts are reflected in the mirror of the Nidelva River. Trondheim is where northern austerity and royal grandeur meet the cozy warmth of small cafes and student energy. Atlantic Ocean Road, a risky path along the very crest of an ocean storm. 8 bridges that leap from island to island, as if trying to outrun the enraged Atlantic. In bad weather, salt spray covers cars entirely, reminding every driver that this road is but a fragile thread stretched over the untamed and wild power of the ocean. The Royal Palace, the modest and honest grandeur of the Norwegian monarchy. Here you will find no golden fences or pretension, only dignity, openness, and calm. The palace, surrounded by a shaded park, feels like a house from a good old fairy tale. It is a symbol of a country where the king is, above all, a person who infinitely loves his cold but beautiful land. Vigeland Sculpture Park, human passions, forever frozen in rugged granite. 213 figures telling a wordless story of pain, love, struggle, birth, and decay. In this park, you inevitably meet yourself, your hidden fears and innermost hopes, embodied in stone that seems to turn warm and alive under your gaze. Tromso, the dazzling gateway to the Arctic. The neon lights of the northernmost city daringly compete in beauty with the mystical flickers of the northern lights. In Tromso, the polar night doesn't feel dark. It offers a magic that cannot be bought for any amount of money. It is a city at the edge of the world, where life pulses despite the icy breath of the pole. The living breath of the north, cold, deep, and crystal clear. The waters of Norway do more than fill the space. They create the very soul of this realm. From the still fjords, frozen like dark emeralds, to the violent Arctic storms that shatter the silence into pieces. This element holds the silence of the glaciers and the echoes of ancient legends. It doesn't just reflect the mountains. It swallows your gaze, forcing you to feel the bottomless power of a world that was here long before us and will remain forever. Svalbard, the last outpost of humanity before the infinite ice. A place where the Arctic desert dictates the rules, and the polar bear remains the only rightful lord of the land. Here, the mountains are ageless, and the polar night is soaked in a cold that burns away everything trivial, leaving you alone with the deafening silence of eternity itself. At these latitudes, the world as you know it ceases to exist, transforming into a blank canvas of snow, wind, and the raw, untamed magic of the high north. Kolbeinsanden, the Arctic Maldives for those seeking the truth. Dazzling white sand and turquoise water that deceives the eye with its tropical brightness, until the cold wind snaps you back to reality. This is a place for those who crave purity and solitude, where you can be alone with the sound of the surf and your own thoughts, which become crystal clear here. You have just traveled thousands of kilometers, but the most important journey begins now. Norway doesn't just show you its mountains. It strips away your masks, forcing you to feel every single second of your existence. Here, on the edge of the abyss, you realize we spend our lives in a blur of vanity, forgetting the sound of true silence. These cliffs stood here millions of years before us, and they will remain long after we are gone. They don't ask for your admiration. They simply remind you that you are alive, and that the world is so much vaster than the screen of your phone or the walls of your office. Take this cold, sharp air with you. Let it become your internal compass. Do not let your reality slip back into a gray repeat of the same day. Go out and find your own edge. Save this video to remember why we travel. And subscribe. Because here,